I'm going to shock you. A parent will be able to choose to buy a cabello, which is fake hair, for $500 when the parent could pay that $300 for a child tutoring for math or physics or chemistry. People do not know that technology or phone has a lot of negative influences on our children. I saw some friends, they gave their children phones at the age of 5. None of my children had a phone at the age of 5, at the age of 10. And I saw that none of my children also had a phone at under 13, and they were perfect fine.
So would you say American kids take education for granted compared to African kids?
I would say yes, especially for those that were born here. They never tested how going to school on foot look like. A lot of them, I'm not just talking because even in America, if your school is very close if your home is very close to your school, sometimes you don't have that priority of riding the bus when we have some other kids that they live far away that they needed our help. We're not talking about that type of proximity, right? Like 1 mile from school, you are there. We're talking about a child in Africa who can walk about 5 miles just to go to school. Or maybe even walking to school, they did not eat. But here, they have a food at school. There is no excuse to say that I cannot learn because my stomach is empty. The bus picked them up maybe even in front of their door. And if the bus did not pick them up, parents were able to drop off and pick up. And those are the things that we face here in America that are very positive. But for the one that came from Africa, for example, that person will appreciate even more because they tested a different way of living over there. So I would say, of course, a lot of children, not all of them, because in every rules there is exception. Most of the children, they take for granted the education, that system that they have here.
I definitely agree with that because I went to high school back home and then I started to go to college back home as well, but I finished my college here, so I can relate and tell the difference. And then I always tell to everybody that I talk to about this, if you fail in college here, it's because you chose to. It's because
Exactly.
you didn't put the time in it. Because you have all the tools there provided for you to succeed in college. So there is basically no reason for you to fail if you just focusing on school and then not doing anything else. When I was going to college, I was working like every single day. I was working 80 hours per week. At the same time, taking about 15 to 17 credit per semesters. But I've never failed the class.
Of course.
I really do agree on that. So that's why my next question would be like, are schools in US too relaxed compared to Africa?
They're not relaxed. What I would just say, they are adjusted.
What do you mean by adjusted?
I mean adjusted because we have different levels, and they put a program that will be able to value the age and the needs of the students. That just means if you have a child with special need, will not going to be put with everybody else. They will have the special program for them, accommodated for them, and depending on the age, depending on the disabilities, depending on the health condition of the child.
So what I mean by being too relaxed to Africa is like where strict discipline is common. I'll give you an example. Like in the classroom, like if back home, if you take an exam and then out of 50 students, 45 fail and then 5 succeed on an exam, then structure will be fine. But here in US, if you take an exam and then out of 50 students, 20 fail that exam, the instructor is going to be in trouble because they're going to try to question him, what's going on? You didn't do a good job and this and this and this. That's what I meant by like being too relaxed. They're going more for the instructor comparing to the student, even if that's on the student to do the work.
In that case, I would just say this. If you say relaxed, I'm not going to say that it's relaxed because at the end of the day, we have children in America who work and go to school. When we have in Africa children who go to school only, you get it?
Okay.
From America's perspective, the age of start working in America is 14 years old. So who relax the most? It's us. You're going to find a grown-up man on the corner street. I have my high school diploma, but I'm waiting for that dream job that will come one day and playing just your football that we call in Africa, soccer here in America, playing soccer over there, and that's it. So who works more? Who is more relaxed? We are. And not only that, children in a high school, they go to work, they have to have their school work done too. But at the end of the day, I would say if a child like that fell, I'm not going to say that child was relaxing because that child went to work at least. But I understand the way of saying relaxing. It's the way also another category of children that are over there. They go sleep, they wake up, they go sleep, they wake up. The day of the test, they think that a miracle will happen because they've been in the social media the whole day and the whole night. And those are the things that the school system has to adjust if they need to adjust. Because a teacher can be as good as he is. But another thing you have to understand, like you said, the school system starts getting a little bit frustrating too. Children are not listening to the instruction of the teacher. So he did not sleep preparing that lesson. He did hours and hours rehearsing about what he's going to tell them. And here he's presenting himself at school. Somebody will be joking about him, throwing stuff on a board to distract the whole classroom, or bullying other kids. And the person had to deal with all that.
So that's why back home, if the instructor is teaching and you do those, it's just gonna take you out of the class. But can you do the same thing here with the student as well? Like kick you out of the classes
Yes,
when
you can.
disturb?
Yes, you
Okay.
can discipline. Everywhere there is discipline. People cannot think that America don't have this discipline. We do have a discipline system in America, but it's just a little bit different than us. You have the right as a teacher to ask for the administrator, depending on the age. If it's the elementary school, you have to be able to tell the administrator to come get the child. The same thing middle school. You ask the child, go present yourself to the administrator. If the child refuses or resists, then you call the administrator to come escort the child out. And it's the same thing also for high school. You tell the child in the high school, go see the administrator or go see your, let's say, your ninth grade office administrator, and the child refuses, then you have the right to, there is a button in the classroom that you can push. You don't even have to call like with a phone. There is a button that once you push it, that you tell them what you need, and they come, they get the child, they put that child out. University also there is a rules. So you want to be in a classroom, fine. If you come in a classroom, the teacher is talking and you are just doing your thing, that's why we have security in a university and colleges, and they can just call them and come and escort you out. So discipline is there, but some teachers, I'm going to say this, they choose to do not make those children go back and forth because it's going to seem like they did not have classroom management. So other people are suffering because of other people.
Yeah, that's very important too, to listen. So that's why parenting, as you say, parenting starts from home, and then the parents have to make sure that the children are respectful when going outside, because when they are outside, they're representing their parents. They're representing what they learn from their surroundings or family. So would you say growing up with hardship make African kids naturally hardworking?
Depending on those, they really got a lesson, because some can really grow up yourself. You can look at them and say that you should not be able to do such thing, depending on your environment right now. But some children, they don't mature quick. So it depends with the level of the maturity of the child.
And then the maturity comes from the house parenting, or how does it come from? Where does it come from?
I would say
of the youth.
Personally, it comes from the parenting. The ability that God created each person with, which we call wisdom, growing up in wisdom. And also to that, it depends with the maturity of parents.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. The other thing is we cannot talk about youth or children without including social media or technology. So how has social media made parenting harder in US compared to Africa?
Social media, if it made what?
So did it make parenting harder in the US compared to Africa?
Yes. First of all, I would say here the Wi-Fi is 24 hours, 7 days of the week. In
Mm-hmm.
Africa, they might have it just for a couple hours, and then they don't have data tomorrow and keep moving. So it makes it even more harder, especially for children who had that opportunity to do not have that 100% access to the Wi-Fi. And when they get here, it's like, okay, now I can be on social media forever. And what is also upsetting is because they forget even their own assignment, like a school assignment.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that also plays a role in those children's life.
Okay. So because nowadays when you have activities with youth, everybody's on his phone, just scrolling on either Snapchat or TikTok. Everyone on this side just using the phone. So at what age kids should be able to use or get a phone?
Actually, for me, if everything was just depending on me, because I would say depending on each child. First of all, it depends with each child. And it depending on how parents are able to manage the phone. Again, parent responsibility. So I will say for a child who is not responsible, first of all, with schoolwork, why that child need that phone? Because even that the way that child will never do schoolwork. So, and I will say this, it will be like, let's say teenagers, because this is something that teenagers want to have because of friends, they have this or they have that, or to do not make also the child feel a certain type of way. But for me, if everything was just depending on me, unless that child is working, that could be me.
So what age would it be?
That would be
Around
16 or 14.
16 or 14? So
14
14
if
would be the
he's
lowest.
working. Yes, if he's working, because you need to drop that child off at work and we need to call you when it's done. Let's say that, depending on the responsibility. Otherwise, it will be 16. If that child is not working until 16, then we're going to have to wait until 16 when the
What
child is
advice would you
working.
what advice or would you give to parents that's giving the kids phones when they're 8 years old? What would you tell them? Because I know a lot.
So what I would say, people do not know that technology or phone has a lot of negative influences on our children. I saw some friends, they gave their children phones at the age of 5. None of my children had a phone at the age of 5, at the age of 10. So, and I saw that none of my children also had a phone at under 13, and they were perfect fine. And not
Okay.
only that, even if they had it after that, it was for good purpose. You have a school activities because we have to pick you up. Yes. You have to work. We have to pick you up. Yes. But we're still managing your time to be on the phone. And that's why we have those screen, how you
Screen
call
time.
school timed. That's why we have this school timed, that you can be able to tell when the child stay, let's say 4 hours on TikTok, 3 hours on
Yep.
the calculator. So it had to be the opposite. If you stayed 3 hours on the calculator, at least I know you were using your math for your math purposes. Then 4 hours on the social media a day, and you are students, and maybe it's during school time, it's not even vacation time. So all that is playing a role, and all that, it depends on how parents are able to manage their children's phone. I'm gonna tell you maybe something that will shock you. I have a 20-year-old, and she turned 20 last year. And that was the first day on her birthday to get her phone sleeping in her room, officially.
At 20 years old?
Yes. Every phone has to be plugged in the hallway, especially for girls, has to be plugged in the hallway. Go sleep during school time. If I don't see it by 10 p.m. in the hallway, you're not going to have it for a month. So you need to comply.
Don't you think it's too strict?
It is, but it was
20
for their
years?
good. It was for their good to sleep. Because, again, it's for their good to sleep. Weekends for a 20-year-old was like, okay, that's your day. Because I know Saturday, Sunday, you don't go to work, you don't go to school. Right?
Wow, that's
It,
very interesting right there.
he was not given for the younger. It was not given for the younger because of the age.
Wow,
And
that is
another
very
thing, if
interesting.
you want your children be able to use phones in your house, do you have the code of your children's phones?
Phone. So you must have the code,
I
or
must
you
have
must
it.
know. Okay.
I must know,
So
or when I tell you I like it, you have to be able to unlike it right away, without excuse, without problem.
So don't you think it will create some type of because some people may say it might be too controlling towards the kids. Don't you think it's creating some type of trust issue with the kids? Don't you
No.
think it create those type of situation?
It depends with the age again. When she
Okay.
turned 18, I start like get away little by little, right?
Mm.
Because she had to graduate from high school after that. And it was not like something that I have to come all the time. I have to see what's going on. And the conversation between her and I is different than my 14-year-old, right?
Yeah.
So it's just a way for parents to know, like, okay, with her now I can joke. With her now I can joke. How is Mr. Right doing?
Yeah, I see what you
And
mean.
then
So it's
she will be, no, Mr. Right, Mom. We joke.
Mhm.
But I cannot joke with a 14-year-old how Mr. Right is going. It's
I see
like
what
I'm
you mean.
pushing that 14-year-old to go look for that Mr. Right, right?
Yes.
And those are the
See
things
what you
I'm
mean.
talking about, parents to be able to know the age of their children and what type of conversation they can deal with their children. And the right
Okay.
in a house, it has to be equity. And that's where we speak about equity. It's different than equality. Equity is
It's more
what
of a
the need when you give somebody what the person need versus on what everybody just wants.
want.
And parent has to be able to make that difference. This is everybody wants, or this is just a need of this particular child.
So it's more of a my house, my rules. And then it's very important for parents to know that when kids are growing up, they are level to when to be strict with them and or when to loosen up a little bit so that you can create that relationship. If you're trying to be friend with a kid who is 5 years old, you're not helping him or you're not helping the kid because you're just creating that laziness to them
Mm-hmm.
or you opening up doors that you shouldn't open.
Exactly.
So, and then I think I've read it to one of these books. There was like in each level, when each categories when kids are growing up, there are steps on where you can be friends with them. Like when they reach maybe 17 to 18, 20, that's the time where you can be friends with them so that they can open up to you and come to you when they have issues. When they're younger, there are times where you have to be strict. You cannot say, oh, no, you got to be strict with them because it's going to help them. It's going to create discipline with them. So, and then I really like it. It's very important. It's just very rare to see parents that think like you or that are doing things like you. And then I've spoke with some of the quelques de vos enfants, some of your children, and then you can see the difference because when I speak with youth, since I've spoken with a lot of youth, most of the time you can read their body language. Like
Thank
myself,
you.
I have the capacity to read the body language, and then you can tell that no, this one is his education is well raised, so you can tell the difference, which is really good. As long as it's working out for you, that's great. That is great. I'll give you an example. Back home, some parents, when they came back from work, the kids had to go to their rooms. So they were not able to create that relationship with them. And then some parents brought that up here. So would you say, do American parents rely too much on technology as a
Yes,
babysitter?
that's what I would say. Because they don't want to talk to them. And the more you don't want to talk to them, the social media will talk to them.
How can we
And
fix this?
how you can fix it, you can create that time.
What
Children
if you
can,
don't have the time?
you must create it because you have 24 hours as everybody else. Even if you sleep at work, you have days that you are at home. So you must create that time to talk to your children. and to find the needs. Why? How you take them to the hospital, how you take them to school if you drive them to school. That's the time that you need to use. I ask my kid from the car, how was your day? Oh, this teacher frustrated me for this, for that. And then you are able to say, it's not teacher's fault, it's your fault. So you need to be able to fix that. And if teacher is wrong, I'll be able to give also, oh, thank you so much for not responding. You did a wonderful job not responding. You did show that you are a respectful boy or a respectful girl. Thank you. And then next time, just go tell maybe your assistant principal or your counselor, school counselor, that did frustrate you, so they can know also how to talk to your teacher. And that's it. So you start the conversation anytime, any little minutes that you have to be able to ask your children how they are doing.
But what if you ask them and you say, how you doing? Good. How was your day? Good.
Yes.
They just give you the short answers.
That's where you have to find the strategies. When you look at their grades daily, you will know that everything was not good, right? Why you have this grade when you are so smart, and they will be able to tell you. Then you start a conversation. Did you eat? Yes. Well, you ate. Was it good? Oh, no, I did not like it, and that's why I want something else. At least you understand. So those are ways of creating rooms to have that conversation. And what we did as a family, another secret we did as a family, is to have a prayer time together every single day, to have time prayer together. That way, after prayer, then we read the word, we listen what the word says, and then we ask who have any issue that they want to share with us. One person can start the conversation. Then this one also will add, me too, this also happened to my school. So, and then you are listening, everybody. Even when we speak about the gay marriage in America, we listen to them. What do you think? What do you think? Even the little child has to tell us what she thinks about it. We thank God because they agree that the Bible says this shall be a man and woman, for example. And then they are able to relate it from the Bible and to relate it to us. So we have to create time. And again, I said, create time by listening to the word, because that will be like an open up of the conversation. And then we go to education subject or news subject. And then each person has an opinion. And that way, even the boys will come and will tell you stories that, oh, look, Mom, this girl came and offered me this. I said, no, thank you. I didn't want to frustrate, but this is what that person gave me. We bury what we need to bury. Keep what we need to keep. So trash what we need to trash. That's it. So
that's right.
Those are things that open doors of conversation with our children. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good. And also in Africa, kids play outside more comparing to here. So does that make them more active and social?
You have to create that too. We have a free park. Do you know that in America we pay for parks?
No, the parks are free in America.
Okay. You say free. We pay for it.
Yeah, it comes off our taxes, you mean?
Yes. We pay for it.
Yes.
We pay for it.
Yeah.
So why are we paying something that you don't use? Or why they pay something that they don't use? So take the kids to the park. Make sure that they go there, they play, and you're using your money there, and that's it. If we don't have enough space, like in our houses or in our apartment compound, take them to the park.
So the park is the solution for the kids to be social, more social, and use less the phone. One of the solutions, actually.
One of the solutions, or create yourself a good neighbors that they have the same age with your children. The way to do it is by, if they ride a school bus, you know who ride the same bus with your children. And create that friendship right there, so they can be able to see each other when the weather gets better, to see each other and play together.
And another thing about social media when it comes to you, how do you handle school bullies or social media bullies from the peers?
First, I will stay away from any friend that can be toxic. That's number one. And then number two, do not be friends with them. The good thing that I like with social media, you can block people. Just block them so you don't see what they post.
So about school, like, because in school you get to see them every single day, even if you're not friend with them. Most of the time, the bullies, they are not your friend. They just come to bully you. So in those kind of situations, what should the youth do?
The youth they have at school, the person they call education counselor. That the person they have to go report to. They report to teachers if something happened inside of the classroom, and then they report to the school counselor. And the school counselor will be able to reach all parents and talk to all parents and even talk to all the children or students.
Okay. So as you heard, Mama Christelle, go to your school counselor department or any elders that can assist you with those kind of issues to keep yourself away from the bullies. How can parents balance modern freedom with traditional values?
Discipline. You know the word of discipline? It
Yes.
covers a lot of things. When you have a discipline of yourself, you will be able to balance the modern and just regular life. And why I am saying this, because when we speak about discipline in Africa, people think most of the time just about like spanking or things like that, or beating up a child. No, discipline about be able to manage your current life is for you to learn what is making you progressing and go for it. So you are disciplined to work and to go for what can make you succeed, progress in life. Versus on when people are there just to copy anything except nothing because everybody else is doing that. I'm going to shock you. A parent will be able to choose to buy a cabello, which is fake hair, for $500 when the parent could pay that $300 for a child tutoring for math or physics or chemistry. Because we have to admit that all our children, they don't get things the same way. At school, some kids cannot get everything at the same time because maybe another person is talking. But the time for the tutoring of that child will help that child to succeed and to be at the same level with everybody else of his age. But parents choose to spend that on a fake hair, for example. For those they drink, they choose to spend that on alcohol. So everything has to go with discipline. We have to discipline ourselves too as a parent so that we can be able to adapt to this life that we have. Or then cannot be cutting your electricity or water when you were able to buy a shoes for $300. Let's be realistic. So everything goes with a discipline of mind.
That's right. As you heard, Mama Christelle, we have to make sure we implement discipline in not just our lives, but to our children's lives. It's very important since it's going to help them grow up. Do you have something to say before we hand this up?
I think maybe we're going to come back again with other things to come, but I will just encourage my fellow parents to do not get tired about our children. If we get tired about our children, the enemy will take care of them. And I have to remind the parents that our children are not government children. We brought them in the world. We have to make sure that we discipline them in the way that's supposed to be so that they can be able to make it in life. And we cannot blame the government. Oh, America, look at how the children became. No, we need the time to spend with our children so we can be able to give them education. Education starts at home, not at school. The school got to complete the education. Because if you do the math, we spend 16 hours with our children when they're gone to school for 8 hours. So how are we going to give responsibility to school? If we do the math, you take for those that ride a bus, it's about 6 hours and a half that they spend at school. The other 1 hour and a half, it will be in a commute, going home or going to school. So in a reality, the school, they have those kids for 6 hours and a half. So how are we going to say they are responsible for our children? So parents, let's wake up and be responsible for our children and quit as a parent to be a child and give the seat of parenting to your children. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Mama Christelle. That was a pleasure for me to have you. And then I hope you will come back for more topics. Thank you.
No problem. Anytime. Thank you for having me. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you guys for watching this episode. If you liked what you have watched, please make sure to subscribe, to like, and share with your friends. So I hope I'll see you next time. Until then, be safe.